on the pulse of the road and the future of flight. From viral trends and policy shifts, we cut through the traffic to bring you the stories that drive us. Your fast-track guide to everything on the move starts right now. From the Philippine News Channel studio to Mel 947 BFM, I'm Paolo del Rosario, and this is Shift Happens. For the past few months, Filipino commuters have been dealing with extreme urban heat. But now that we're officially entering the rainy season, a new challenge begins. Right as classes open and millions of students head back to school and the roads get busier. When the monsoon season arrives, we often see flash floods, stranded passengers and transport systems slowing down or coming to a complete stop. To prepare, local authorities sometimes trim or cut street trees to protect power lines and clear roads. But many urban planners point out that trees are not just obstacles, they are important parts of the city. They provide shade for those walking and active transport, and they also help reduce heat and lessen flooding. And as the country builds more roads to connect more communities and cut travel time, the need to preserve our environment remains a priority. The question now is, how do we keep the trees that give us shade without putting the brakes on progress? Now, to help us understand design, flood-resilient school zones, and true value of urban trees and mobility, and how the country is rationalizing urban design for a changing climate, we are joined today planner, professor, and college secretary of the UP School of Urban and Regional Planning, as well as the president of Planades, Dr. Mateo Morales. Doc, welcome to the show.
Magandang araw po sa atin lahat. Thank you for inviting me, Paolo.
Doc, let's start off first with the current condition of Philippine mobility, especially in the urban areas, because let's be completely frank, we never hear anything good about it, especially when we look online. But from your perspective, where are we at when we look at urban mobility dito sa Pilipinas?
Kasi right now, when we talk about mobility, it tends to be biased into mga traditional systems na kumbaga nakasanayan na natin over time. But as population has grown, and alam naman natin as population grows, yung lupa naman hindi nadadagdagan. At talagang it is bound to happen na yung mga pagsisikip at saka traffic na nararanasan natin ngayon ay talagang hindi yan dapat natin ikagulat. Ang dapat lang talaga is mapaghandaan ito. So there's really a need for us to diversify yung mga mobility platforms na pwede natin i-offer sa mga kababayan natin na nagpupunta sa from bahay to trabaho and sa mga iba pang lugar na gusto nilang puntahan. And right now, kasi we're really focused more on our cars, our public utility vehicles, our motorcycles, and now we're having a stronger push on mass transit. Pero personally, parang nasa akin na medyo naiiwan yung sinatawag nating active mobility, that giving people a choice na if they could choose to walk, bike, or jog to their place of destination, and amenities that would allow people to have a viable choice na parang mas okay din ito as an alternative kaysa magsiksikan tayo sa mga bus at jeepney at saka mga sasakyan natin bumabara sa kalsada.
Doc, sanabi mo, diversify yung means of transportation natin in terms of yung mobility natin. How does that look like ideally dito sa Pilipinas?
Ideally, it should be an interconnected series of systems that we're working as a collective unit na hindi siya nagkakanya-kanya. So basically, if you're riding a bus or a jeepney and you get off your nearest station, maganda sana is there's a way for you to walk comfortably, conveniently, preferably hindi ka masyado may initan, para magkaroon ng incentive sa iyo na kesa sumakay pa ng tricycle or magdala ng sariling motorsiklo that would add additional volume sa mga kalsada natin. You could easily just make a decision, why not just walk? Marami naman puno, may shade, komportable, safe. Hindi naman ako masasagasaan ng mga rumaragasang motorsiklo or mga sasakyan. Especially with kids and senior citizens. I mean, if we have that choice for our citizens, I think it would be easier for them na, teka, di na ako makikipagsiksikan dito na lang ako sa mas safe na lugar dito sa sidewalks.
Doc, I refuse to believe that you're the only person who sees that, especially when it comes to yung mga potential solutions po natin. If you look around the country, are there any good examples that we can point out or even expand when we look at maybe different municipalities, different growing urban areas that have started to at least accept the fact that we need to diversify yung modes of transport po natin?
Yeah, kasi right now, kasi I think it starts with a lack of visualization, especially for our non-technical people. Our daily, yung mga regular person, citizens natin, they don't get to see the opportunities of looking beyond what is traditionally accepted already na way to move around. So personally, I really go for urban design in this regard because it allows you to proactively see if a project would really resonate with you rather than tinayo na yan, ginastusan mo na ng ilang hundred millions, then you would realize later, ay mali pala. Ba't puputulin yung mga puno? O bakit sikip yung mga mawawala ng daanan yung mga kung sasakyan? So, or matatakpan natin yung mga sightlines, renderings, walkthroughs na three-dimensional. And para sa akin, malaking tulong dyan ng urban design, which is currently right now, hindi pa siya ganun ka mass known or developed here in the Philippines. Mas alam kasi natin architecture, then engineering, and then urban planning, pero yung urban design, that is something that we could develop further as a country.
Doc, I don't want to push back, but then isn't it too late for certain areas for us to apply urban design? Or is there always hope? Is there a way to change the way that certain urban areas operate with urban design, proper urban design, and of course yung implementation po niyan?
Yeah. Actually, kahit hindi na tayo lumayo sa Metro Manila, what they did with Pasig River, sorry, with the Esplanade by Disud. That's a classic case of reimagining our neighborhood. Now, from something that is na hindi siya conveniently accessible, na something that is now very nice to walk around in, and mag-spend ng time doon with friends and family. There are potentials right now, kasi right now is yung Esplanade is yung tumatawid ko doon sa mismong river.
Yeah.
We have a project right now na we are proposing to LGUs the rationale to reclaim the banks of the rivers and go beyond the minimum setbacks, making it a bit larger so that you could do more with the space allotted. Pwede ka maglagay ng wider sidewalks, with trees, are placed for small businesses para people would have a nice place to walk around. It's similar to what you're seeing right now doon sa Esplanade. But inland, hindi siya nakapaibabaw doon sa river. So typically sa Pasig River, the different LGUs flanking it could benefit from that opportunity.
This reminds me of a proposal given in the past of actually constructing a roadway over Pasig River or on a river itself. When you hear examples like that of being able to solve mobility or at least a traffic problem, what are your thoughts?
Para sa akin kasi kung maiiwasan yun, iwasan natin. Because when you cover up the river, it has biodiversity impacts. Pati yung water quality, pati yung may mga reaction dyan sa chemical reaction, biodiversity and all of that. And I think that's it's an easy way to solve problems, but it's not the most best way to go about it. Maraming masasakripisyo kaysa mabe-benefit niyan. Mas maganda siguro it's a harder way, but we need to reassess how we can develop the systems that we have now, augment it with other systems and make them interconnected para hindi siya, well, bluntly saying, fragmented eh. Kasi kung fragmented, katatamaran niya ng taong gamitin eh. Mas pipiliin niya na doon na lang sa nakasanayan niya kasi after noon, mahihirapan din siya mag-shift eh. Yeah. Let's say from buses or jeeps, tas maglalakad ako na kaiinit yan. Pagdating ko doon sa aking meeting, ako'y pawisan na. Kaya mas pinipili nila magtiyaga na lang sa traffic. So yun ang kagandahan by having a smooth interconnection of these systems para they would benefit us collectively.
For those who are not familiar, si Doc Morales actually has done a lot of research in general when it comes to yung mga situation po natin dito. And apart from that, he was also part of a research team mobilized by the Tokyo-based Nikken Sekai Research Institute, wherein you had the opportunity to study the challenges of transit-oriented development dito sa Pilipinas. When we take a look at that, what does that actually mean? What did you discover in your research?
Long story short, it was very interesting. Ang nakita namin it is the Philippines, like Metro Manila, is a classic example of what not to do when you're looking at traditional transit-oriented development. Kasi ang traditional niyan is you build the station first, and then the city or the neighborhood grows from that station. Tayo kasi sa Pilipinas, baliktad na nagawa na yung city, na-develop na, then we're trying to look for a space to build the station in. So it's like a upside down ang strategy dito sa Philippines. So it's very interesting because it provides, especially mga Japanese and those who are very much familiar with TOD, nakikita nila, uy, this is a totally different scenario. So they're like looking for solutions that are not, hindi ito yung naranasan nila nung ginawa nila ang TOD sa kanilang bansa.
So we are the problem set nila in terms of trying to find solutions because it practically is the reverse of what's ideal at the very least.
Yeah.
Tama po ba yan?
At saka ang kagandahan kasi sa atin, there are other developing countries around the world that also that share the similar situation as here in the Philippines. So they are looking at the Philippines now and see, okay, what works, what does not work, and whatever works, they could replicate it from Africa to Latin America. So hindi naman tayo nag-iisa dito. Marami rin naman mga bansa sa mundo, may mga problema rin ang tulad sa atin.
Have you seen any examples of cities outside, well, apart from Metro Manila or apart from Manila, that have had this problem and have reversed it somewhat to be able to become more mobile, more accessible in general?
Yeah, I remember I was in Vietnam, in Hanoi, maybe a decade ago. And I was really kind of shocked sa dami ng motorsiklo na nagsisiksikan sa mga kalsada doon sa Vietnam. And akala ko magulo na dito sa Pilipinas, but it's mas dense doon sa Vietnam. That was 10 or 15 years ago. Lately, I've been hearing or reading about news that they've heavily invested in mass transit systems. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars. So now they are saying that a lot of Vietnamese have actually decided to shift or veer away from their overdependence on their motorcycles. And they have decided to use mass transit systems because it's dependable, reliable, and interconnected. So right now here in the Philippines, we're seeing that now. Medyo mas delayed lang tayong kaunti. But we have shifted to mass transit already and starting from what we're seeing now in Metro Manila, all the way to the initiatives that are being done that would connect Metro Manila to all the way to Subic and Clark and all the way to the Batangas area. So sabi ko nga sa mga estudyante ko, kung magtutuloy-tuloy ito, swerte yung mga anak at pamangkin natin dahil sila yung makikinabang dito sa medyo pinagsasakripisyohan nating inconvenience. But with that being said, for me, the challenge now is if there are such initiatives by national government for all these trains, as we can see in the screen, and subways. I think the challenge now for LGUs is how to connect with those national government projects and to make the daily experience from disembarking from these trains and subways and walking to their next destination that happens to be inside their city or barangay. Ang maganda sana dyan is if it's walkable, convenient, komportable, hindi mainit, I think Filipinos would like to have that opportunity to also walk. And when you walk and you see the different sites and amenities along the road, there's a higher chance for you to stop and partake. Oh, may bago palang bukas dito tindahan or cafe or may boutique dito ng bagong bukas. So it really also opens up opportunities for MSMEs. Mm-hmm. Pero right now, it's hard for that because it's not convenient and it's not currently comfortable to walk. And from where kung saan ka bumaba o kung saan ka pumarada, makikita mo medyo mahirap, putol-putol yung sidewalk, kailangan mo maglakad doon sa mismong carriageway ng sasakyan at may chance ka pang mahagip ng mga mabibilis na motorsiklo at mga kotse. So that unconsciously parang it sets a psychological signal to the Filipino na huwag ka na lang maglakad, magsakay ka na lang, mas safe pa. Magbayad ka na lang additional 50 pesos, at least mas maayos ka makakarating sa destination mo. So that is something that we would hopefully be able to address in the coming years. That's it for now, Paolo.
Well, Doc, you know what? We have so much more to talk about. We're not going to let you go. In fact, I want to ask some of the harder questions when it comes to infrastructure in just a bit. For the moment, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll continue to talk about how we can build safer, more livable cities and look at how urban planning, mobility, and green spaces all play a role in shaping the way we move and live every day. Don't go away. We'll be right back. You're still watching the United News Channel and tuned in to Mellow 947 BFM.
escape? Discover Club Nalu, a serene beachfront retreat where stillness meets style. Nestled along the quiet shores of Bacnotan in La Union, Club Nalu is designed for slow mornings, ocean breezes, and moments that help you unwind. From cozy rooms and sun-drenched villas to relaxing spaces inspired by nature. Every corner invites you to pause, breathe, and recharge. Club Nalu, come as you are and leave feeling a little lighter. Book now at clubnalu.ph.
Welcome back. Still watching Shift Happens, and we are still with environmental planner, professor, and college secretary, and the president of Planades, Dr. Mateo Morales. Doc, thank you so much for not leaving me alone here. Let's take a look at the state of infrastructure here in the Philippines. Simply because we are in a place, or the sad reality is that napakadaming LGUs so close to each other when it comes to connectivity, in terms of yung infrastructure natin, for the pedestrian or for the cyclist or for those in active mobility or even those connected to national projects like the trains. It feels like each and every approach is different. Is this one of the biggest challenges when addressing yung transport and mobility situation dito sa Pilipinas, that there are so many different approaches that aren't necessarily as effective as the other?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the things that really happened after the institution of the local government code of 91, wherein nakalagay doon sa local government code the priority given to the local government to chart their own development path. No? Ang nangyari dyan, from very top-down ang approach natin before the EDSA revolution of 86, naging bottom-up yung approach natin. Maganda yon. Ang naging nakita lang natin epekto is mas talagang nabigyan ng prominence yung freedom of LGUs. That's why there appears to have been a tendency na magkakaroon ng iba't ibang diskarte sa how to interpret and what constitutes development per LGU. So diyan naman papasok ang mga, well, in other parts of the Philippines, we have provincial governments or we have regional governments that would help us align the different initiatives of the different local governments within a province or a region. In Metro Manila, what we have is MMDA. Mm-hmm. Now, although we have MMDA, mas kilala siya kasi on traffic management at saka sa about waste, addressing waste issues. So. Pero maganda rin na palawigin at palakasin sa MMDA yung ability niya to reimagine and harmonize urban design and urban planning initiatives in the region, in the capital region. And I think they're doing that, especially now with the 2019 nagkaroon na ng DSUD, the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. Kasi before, it's just a regulatory board, the HLURB. Mm-hmm. So now we're seeing, I could see a lot of friends and colleagues that are there at DSUD that they're doing a phenomenal job on and showing LGUs and showing other national government agencies at the potentials of maximizing land usage as a platform for development. Kasi yun ang medyo kulang pa sa ngayon.
Well, one of the reasons why I brought up the different LGUs and their different approaches as well is because right now we are entering the rainy season. And let's not sugarcoat it. Flooding has been a talk point in this network and wherever else in the Philippines, to be completely frank, in the past few months. When we look at the government approach, they're saying that it has to be a whole government approach to address flooding, address the heavy rains, not just here in Manila, but all over the country. Sir, what should be, at least ideally speaking, the right way to approach this problem when there are so many decision makers like LGUs of how to try and address their specific problems in their own locations?
Yeah, kasi right now kasi umaasa talaga tayo sa mga big ticket projects, mga parang silver bullet kind of initiatives that parang i-imagine na pag ginawa ito, napondohan ito, masusolve na yung problema ng flooding, which most of the time we are severely disappointed. Because actually, to address flooding, it's a collective system of projects. Some are high impact, some are very low key, but they should be working together. Like for example, even waste collection, on waste, yung pagtatapon ng basura, how to address that, because it really clogs our sewage systems. So kahit anong ayos mo ng sewage systems, kung buwapara yan, talagang walang tatakbuhan yung tubig. So that's one. Another is we really have to reinforce the need to identify, preserve, and maybe even recapture green open spaces in our metropolitan areas. Ang kagandahan pa dyan, if you identify areas na low-lying areas, na alam mo naman gravity would take its course, talagang doon mag-iipon yung groundwater, ay yung surface water pala. So kung yan open space na hindi siya natabunan ng semento at asfalto, it allows us to have a natural absorption of the surface water going underground para ma-recharge din yung aquifers natin. Kasi kung lahat ng mga area sa cities natin, takpan natin ng semento at asfalto, saan tatakbo yung tubig na lalo na pag umulan? And mind you, di ba, especially with development right now, even the upland areas, we are seeing a lot of trees being cut and the upland areas are being developed also. So nagiging cement and asphalt din doon sa taas. So pag malakas ang ulan, dati kasi pag umulan sa taas, sa upland areas, masasalo ng mga puno yung ulan And then it will trickle down, the rainwater coming from the clouds would lose its velocity and would trickle down the tree trunks and allow it to be absorbed on the ground, sa ground cover, sa grass and into the soil. Itinanggal natin yung puno, tinakpan natin yung lupa ng asfalto at konkreto. So you could imagine na yung velocity ng tubig coming from the clouds, talagang tatama yan sa lupa. Now all the remaining green spaces on the upland areas, kumbaga sa Tagalog, matutungkab yan because of the force of the water coming from wala nang punong humaharang So that's why pag bumabaha, mapansin natin yung tubig usually brown because that's soil, that's erosion coming from the upland areas usually. Pag itim yan, ibang usapan na yun because baka na yan, yung dumi na yan sa mga urban areas. So kagandahan dyan is permeable surfaces. We need permeable surfaces to help augment the capacities of our sewage systems to absorb rainwater away from public areas. And another thing is, there's even technologies now that talking about permeable surfaces. Right now, there's UP School of Urban and Regional Planning in Canades. We're collaborating with this Japanese firm, Toholeo, for a Philippine mix, permeable concrete.
Okay.
Kasi right now, it's kind of expensive, especially those coming from Europe and even from Japan, medyo mahal. So now we're looking for a variant, trying to bring down the cost. And we're now engaged with Quezon City. We're having some pilot areas in the city. And right now, tamang saktong-sakto, rainy season na. So makikita namin talaga yung mga study, yung mga ginawa namin areas doon, nilagyan namin ng ganong concrete. And we'll see the absorption. So if that would be proven successful and affordable enough, a lot of LGUs can choose to procure that kind of material for their roads, their sidewalks. So malaking tulong yun kaysa mag-stagnate yung tubig above ground, ma-absorb din siya without to help the canals and the manholes and to help the green open spaces that are left open. Makakatulong din yan. And then lastly, Paolo, I've been telling my students about this rainwater catchment.
Yeah.
Important kasi yan. It could be communal, it could be singular. Singular, I mean, imagine if the houses, especially in the upland areas, pinagpuputol yung puno, di ba? Then ginawa ng subdivision yan. Imagine if we implement a strategy wherein each household, yung mga kabubungan nila would act as a funnel or parang imbudo that would collect rainwater from the roof and ma-store yan sa drum or sa underground cistern that they could use to water the plants or clean their garage or whatever, spray rainwater. Imagine all of those houses having that, doing their share to collect a number of liters of rainwater. No? Instead na maipon yan sa mga kalsada, ma-store na sa mga kabahayan.
Doc, sorry, just to piggyback on that point, I'm so sorry. I know you're going through a different solution as well. But then when you talk about you mentioned catchments and some governments have done that, LGUs, in terms of creating mga flood catchments sa ilalim ng mga covered courts nila in certain communities. But when it comes to some residences and even some commercial buildings, let's just say that they're not necessarily built geared towards that at the moment. Would updating the building code to become more environmentally realistic when it comes to what we're experiencing climate-wise actually help with that type of solution?
Yeah, I mean, the building code is really bound for updating already. 1970s pa ata yung huling na update. And maganda kasi ma-incentivize din yung mga ganyang initiatives because we have to face it. Yung mga ganyang rainwater catchment, it's considerable cost yan. Para ka rin nagsiset up ng solar power.
Yeah.
Malaki yung overhead mo sa simula niyan. So maybe government could consider, let's say, tax breaks or meron sila mga grants. They could even have an awards for the most sustainable strategy being done. So may incentive sa mga taong consider yan.
Doc.
And even buildings. Di ba, Paolo, when you build a building, ang laki ng hinuhukay mong pundasyon dyan.
Tama naman.
Pag gano'n, pwede ka na mag-designate. Lagyan mo na lang ng chamber yan. Tapos sa makikinabang dyan, hindi lang yung building residents, but a certain radius of the community would benefit from the flood water that is being handled by that cistern, amongst others. Yeah.
You know, Doc, I want to also, because we're running out of time, but I want to focus on one last solution that you mentioned a while ago, which is reclaiming green spaces. We've seen, I believe, the city of Iloilo start to use their walkways into, turn their walkways rather into more active mobility areas, wherein they now share the lanes with protected bike lanes. There are trees all over as a way to manage the climate in general. But also, Metro Manila, going back to it, has had an issue with space in particular, wherein we have the Last Lang, the Arroceros Forest Park, which is only 2.2 hectares. You have the Las Piñas Wetland Park, which is more than 100 hectares, but then let's be completely frank, is still too small when you look at what we're trying to help solve here. Is there a way for us to actually convert and reclaim some of this urban sprawl and turn them into actual green spaces that can make an impact?
Ako kasi medyo idealist ako, Paolo.
Yeah.
So when I look at open spaces, I look at them as a network of nodes and corridors. When you talk about parks and green spaces in the metropolis, we shouldn't look at them as islands, freestanding. Because if we do it like that, we look at them like that, it loses its value. Mas makikita niya na pwede pala itong gawing multi-purpose na parking na multi-story or barangay multi-purpose hall ang gawan takpan na natin. But if you connect these nodes into linear strips that would of bike lanes and jogging paths, jogging trails, you create a loop na naka-anchor lang siya on certain parks, community gardens, and other open spaces in the city. Then it would highlight its value even more, from health and wellness to going about from your place of work to your place of residence. Tapos yung mga corridors na yan, siyempre kailangan din naman magpahinga ng mga tao dyan pag nagbibisikleta. So I could see actually a lot of opportunities for small businesses na we could regulate, lagay natin sila at strategic points along these corridors and nodes so they could have a viable market catchment also. And the people who are resting, pwede silang bumili ng maiinom, makakain dyan. And then that would make it part of the daily routine of citizens na maganda palang alternative to kaysa tayo yung nakabara lang sa kalsada sa traffic. Samantala nakakapag-exercise pa tayo, mas maaga pa tayo makakauwi actually.
Doc, maraming salamat. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Maraming salamat din, Paolo. And good afternoon sa ating lahat.
Good afternoon, Doc. And that concludes our roundup of the stories driving the industry forward. Ako po si Paolo del Rosario. Join us again next week on Shift Happens, your fast-track guide to everything on the move. Keep it here on BNC, the Billionaire News Channel, and Mellow 947 BFM.